The World Cup draw is on December the 3rd. You've been hearing a lot about it in the context of these games in November because there are important world ranking points and placements and potential World Cup draw seedings at stake. For example, Wales against Japan. 2 teams enter the Principality Stadium. Only 1 team can leave with the 12th spot in the world rankings and a place in the second group of seeds for a World Cup draw in only a few weeks. But it's not just Wales, Japan. You've got Scotland looking up, Argentina looking up, but maybe also looking over their shoulder, and others besides. It's interesting. And just how much of a difference is it going to make? I thought that would be quite interesting to examine. So I've had a look at the World Cup format, and I'm going to play it through, kind of war game the Rugby World Cup pool and the Rugby World Cup itself, because there are some elements of the draw and the format that I really like, some elements that I'm less keen on, but I thought it'd be really interesting to look at it right now because we've still got a few weeks of these November tests left and important world ranking points at stake. So how much difference does it really make? Or not, as the case may be. Let's examine. Let me know your thoughts in the chat down below. Please give the video a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. That helps the algorithm gods. And subscribe to the channel because there's loads of good stuff coming. There is the Rugby World Cup 2027. Expanded to 24 teams from 20. Previously, there were 4 pools of 5 teams, with the top 2 qualifying for the quarterfinals and the bottom 3 on their way home. But on the flip side, all of those teams in the pool stage get 4 matches. So that's they get a good month at the Rugby World Cup. They get 1 fewer game in the pools. However, 16 teams make it through to the knockout stages. So if you're just doing your maths, you've worked out already, yeah, that's the top 2 in each pool and four teams from elsewhere, from the 3rd place sides. And that might be the area where there are going to be teams that feel a little bit hard done by because they might be in a slightly harder pool and they don't get through. But there you go. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And there are quite a few trade-offs. And there are going to be teams that feel hard done by and unlucky in the way that Scotland did at the last Rugby World Cup. I think for the most part, I don't mind this format, but let me know what you think as I go through it. So as you've been hearing, you've got the top 6 teams, the second group of 6, third and fourth group of 6 teams in terms of the world rankings that will form the pools, 1 from each in each pool. The only one we know at the moment that's going to happen is Australia, whatever their ranking may be, they're going to be in Pool A. So if they are in the top 6 ranks, they will take position 1 in Pool A. If they stay in world ranking number 7, as they are currently, then they will be in the second group of teams. They will be the second team in Pool A. Now, based on the current world rankings, there they are. I've just, for the purpose of this, taken what World Rugby have put as this hypothetical pool scenario. This is not, to be clear, this is not what the World Cup pools are going to be. It's going to be randomised. 1 team from each 6 in each pool, but just randomly World Rugby put this on their website as an example, so I thought I'd go with it. And based on the world rankings, and 23 teams have qualified at the moment. There is a 24th team still to qualify through the final repechage, and for the purpose of this, I'm going to assume that team is Samoa. Okay, so good luck to Belgium, Namibia, and who's the other one? I've forgotten. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for this. I'm assuming it's Samoa for this one. Best of luck to all the teams. But for the purpose of this, I'll go with that. And based on those world ranking points, for argument's sake, this is hypothetical. The pools in this example would look like this. So in Pool A, South Africa, Australia, Japan, and Romania. B is England, Italy, Samoa, and Hong Kong. In Pool C, Ireland, Fiji, Chile, and Portugal. Pool D, Argentina, Georgia, USA, and Canada. E is France, Wales, Uruguay, Zimbabwe. And F, New Zealand, Scotland, Spain, and Tonga. And I think the first thing that strikes me straight away is the top seeds are very, very well placed. There is a couple of pools in particular where where second place could very much spring an upset and finish top of the pool. And the highest ranked teams, like, the world ranked 7th and 8th team at the moment are Australia and Scotland. And they've got a chance at springing an upset on South Africa and Italy. But equally, Fiji could spring a surprise on Ireland. Italy could beat England for the first time at the 27 World Cup if this is how it panned out. So it could happen. So those games between the top 2 seeds are going to be fun. The games between 1st and 3rd and 1st and 4th, not going to be as interesting. But then that happens at every World Cup. There are missed match fixtures. Where I absolutely love this is there is so much on the line for the matches between third and fourth, which are regularly, consistently, some of the best moments of the Rugby World Cup. Yes, when you get down to the knockout stages, it really kicks up a gear and it's all eyes on the prize and that trophy. But in the pool stages, the games we've seen in the past between Uruguay and Fiji and Portugal and Fiji, it's not always about beating Fiji, by the way, but these are some of the games which have the most memorable moments that we've ever seen. And now, for those teams in those matches between the third and fourth sides in the pool, what is on the line is not only the chance to win at a Rugby World Cup, which is really their World Cup final, or it was their World Cup final, because now their World Cup final is winning that game and qualifying for a knockout match, because 4 of the teams that finish third will make it to the round of 16. And more than likely, that will be where their World Cup journey ends. But for them, that will be historic and really special, and something that I'm looking forward to. Those games between, in this example, between Samoa and Hong Kong and Chile and Portugal, USA, Canada, that would be it. That would be spicy. That might actually get the American public interested in rugby. Zimbabwe against Uruguay, Spain against Tonga. If that's the way it panned out, that would be so much fun, and it would really mean something, because look, the bottom sides would get eliminated straight away. Of the teams that finish third, 4 of them qualify based on points scored, based on points difference, and then tries scored would be how it goes. So yes, you could argue that if you have 2 stronger teams in your pool, that could work against you in third place, and that might be a bit unfair. But them's the breaks, unfortunately, and it works for everyone, as we'll see. So for argument's sake, I'm just going to go with Japan, Samoa, Chile and Uruguay qualifying for the round of 16. What does the knockout stage look like? So I like the jeopardy at the bottom of the pools now, not as much jeopardy at the top. But here we go. This is where it gets serious for the big teams when we get to the round of 16. And World Rugby have already ordained which pool winner is going to play who, which runner-up is going to play who, and there it is. And you can see already there is one thing that I've seen some people criticise, that there are some pool winners who play third-place teams, and there are some pool winners that play runners-up in other pools. And that's unfair, isn't it? So the winner of Pool A, let's say it's South Africa. In fact, let me jump forward and just put the teams in. There you go. This is just hypothetical, and me on our hypothetical scenario guessing who the winners of the pool would be. The winners of the pool would be South Africa. Yes, they get a really, really easy game against a third place team, Chile. Same with England in Pool B. They get an easier game against Uruguay. But then they have to face each other in the quarterfinals, which is pretty brutal. If that was the example, if that is the example, I would be cursing my luck as an England fan, let me tell you. Having lost to South Africa in a semi-final and a final before that, maybe it would be a case of regression and now England get to lose in a quarter-final. But there you go. 2 runners-up playing each other, Fiji against Scotland. And you could say, well, that's not fair because there's other runners-up. Georgia have to play France. How comes Fiji and Scotland get to play each other? Yeah, fair, but them's the breaks. And it's better this way, isn't it, than Scotland not being in the knockout stage because the World Cup draw was done when it was and their pool had ranked number 1, 2 and 5 in the same pool. So I prefer this. So yeah, there are some games where runners-up play runners-up. Australia and Wales and Fiji and Scotland. There are some games where runners-up play third place. Ireland, Argentina, South Africa and England. But in those cases, they then have to play each other in the quarter-final. So it's a trade-off. I actually think this is pretty good. And I think going through this specific example with this hypothetical demonstrates that, you know what, it's decent. So the teams that have easier runs to the quarter-final get a rock hard match next with Ireland playing Argentina and South Africa playing England. world rankings right now, that would be 1v4 and 3v6, I want to say. So that's pretty tough to find at a quarter-final. Australia, New Zealand, Scotland, France. And you could argue, oh, well, that's not fair. France and New Zealand have had an easier time of it than South Africa, England, Ireland and Argentina. Maybe so. But you know what? They had a trickier round of 16 match to navigate. So it's a trade-off. And I actually think it's okay. Let's just say semi-finals. Yeah, look. Yeah, England-France semi-final. Yeah, in this hypothetical England-France semi-final. I've watched my team. I was in Paris for the semi-final last time round. I was heartbroken. Let me have this one. Yeah. There we go. So England beat South Africa in this hypothetical quarter-final in my dreams. France come through to Scotland. And then in the other one, let's have New Zealand against Ireland. And then, then in the final, we'll have France against Ireland and we'll have a brand new World Cup winner that has never before won it. And Ireland not only banished the quarter-final curse, they lose to France in the final. But, that's an improvement, Ireland. And this is all hypothetical, obviously. But look, I actually quite like it. So some people have been very negative and been quite down on this World Cup format. I do think, when I look at it, it lacks jeopardy for the big teams in the early stages. Move that out of the way again. Yeah, it lacks some jeopardy for the big teams because the top two seeds are getting through to the knockouts, barring a major upset. They're getting through. But the cool part of it is there's now 4 rounds of knockouts, so there's a little bit more of a run-in for those bigger teams who are going to make it through. But the very, very cool part is that some of those smaller teams are going to have their World Cup final when third place fourth for a one-off match to make it through to the knockout stages, to stay in the World Cup for that 4th game that they had by right last time, but this time against one of the big guns. And yes, they're probably going to get an absolute beatdown in that round of 16. And that is probably the bit that's going to make rugby look a little bit rubbish. You get some casual rugby fans going, oh, right, it's the knockout stage of the Rugby World Cup. Brilliant. This is going to be really competitive then. I'll sit down and watch this. Oh, what's that? South Africa have just put 80 points on Chile in the knockouts. Right. Okay, and this is where rugby has got to get to. We've got to get more teams, more competitive. And I'm looking at you, World Rugby, to do things like a global season to actually give aspiration for countries like Georgia to maybe one day mix it more often with some of the big guns by maybe giving them potential access to a Six Nations. Who knows? Things like that. But I have to say, overall, on balance, I'm all right with what World Rugby have done with the Rugby World Cup format for 2027. Although, if I could just make a request, could you please fix it that England aren't meeting South Africa in a quarter-final? Thank you very much. There you go. There's my thoughts. Let me know yours, and I will see you on the next one.